And welcome, my friends, to the inaugural episode of the live video show here on video with myself, Joel Comm. It's a beautiful snowy day in Denver. The snow keeps coming down, and I'm excited to bring you a brand new show live on blab.im. I'm super pumped about live video. I have been for many years. Back in 2008, I was doing Ustream.tv for our live video. And as the apps have been going mobile and the bandwidth is getting broader and the accessibility becomes so that everybody and anybody can broadcast their own show over the internet, we are on the cutting edge of the new wave that is revolutionizing the world. And so the live video show is here for a few reasons. I want to be able to share the technologies that we're using, and I want to be able to share with you the people that are using these technologies. So please do share. Go ahead and over here on Blab, if you'll just look over to your left side, you'll notice that you can tweet, you can post, you can tell the world that we're here live today. And for our inaugural episode, numero uno, that's number one for those of you that don't speak Spanish, I've got a special guest with me that I got to meet at Summit Live just this last month in San Francisco. And he is a Periscope superstar. And he's actually a serial entrepreneur. He's a speaker. He is a writer. He's a strategist. He's a consultant. And as I researched him, I discovered a lot about his background that I was completely and totally unaware of. And now that I got a chance to meet him, I invited him to be my guest. Would you please join me in welcoming Mr. Alex Kahn?
My man, what an intro.
How are you, buddy?
How are you, Joe?
Great to see you. Great to see you. Now, you're in Germany, correct?
That's true. That's true.
And so it's evening, I'm assuming.
It is. It's 9 o'clock. I had a lovely dinner, and now I'm here with you, which is just getting better, you know? It's just getting better.
Fantastic. Well, Germany is actually a place that's on my bucket list to visit. I've never been, but I've heard wonderful things about the country and the cities and the people.
Seriously, you gotta go. I mean, probably Berlin will be your number one choice.
Yeah.
Because it's international, it's a center, especially when it comes down to all kind of online media and startups, and it's really the place to be in Germany. Mm-hmm. I'm in Munich, which is more calm, more Bavarian, but also a very nice place.
Excellent. Well, what we're going to do here today over this next hour is I want people to learn a little bit more about you, because on your Periscopes, you share bucket loads of knowledge. You're always dropping tips. You're teaching people. But I think there's a lot of people that, like myself, don't really know about your background. It might be easy to assume that you just suddenly came on the scene with Periscope, but that's not the case at all, is it?
That's true. I mean, I'm in this industry, social media and online business. I mean, online business for almost 20 years, and social media probably 10 years, because I founded some social networks before. And Periscope was basically just an accident, to be true. It was just, I saw it, I loved it, and I stick with it, and it changed my life.
A very happy accident at that.
Yeah. It's just amazing. It was not planned. I was not looking for something new. I actually was pretty busy with a lot of different things, and it just took me instantly, and I love it. It's amazing. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, what's the core of your business? Because I understand that there's some money in Periscope, but we're still at the early phases of it. But you have a consulting business.
True. So, I mean, I founded in the last years a couple of businesses. So I'm basically an entrepreneur. I love to get myself involved in new companies, in young companies, and build them up. That's what I did 3 times in Germany. But besides that, I founded an advertisement agency, and therefore focusing on social media, because the companies I founded were social networks. So it made sense. And I was consulting companies. And I'm a consultant. I love to explain companies how it's going to work. And it's the first time, thanks to Periscope, that I'm actually shifting in some way, not to a B2B place, but to a B2C place in some way. And individuals can take advantage of it. And all I'm doing on Periscope is basically adapting my knowledge of social media to that new channel. And by doing this, it happened that I also was focusing on my own brand. I never was my own brand. I was always giving knowledge to other companies or my own companies, but never myself. I was always like behind the scenes. I didn't like it. But, Periscope is so intriguing in opening up, and it comes very in small steps, right? You start with it, you show a little bit around yourself, and then you show yourself for the first time. And after a while, you feel like, well, you're part of that whole thing, and people love it because it's authentic and it's real. And you really have that feeling of communicating with people from all over the world, which is amazing. I mean, I met so many people in the last year, and it's just 10 months old, right?
Right.
So it's developing in such a tremendous pace, which it's beautiful.
So, they say you never forget your first time. Think back to your first scope. What do you remember?
I remember that I was not part of it. My first scope was, I told that story, was an employee of mine. I was downloading the app. I thought like, oh, that's cool. And I was writing in the title, most funny employee ever. That's it. And I was recording a friend, an employee of mine, back in Kuala Lumpur, where one of my businesses had a head office. And I was just recording him, and everything was fine. I didn't know what it is. It was the first day of Periscope, so no one knows what you should do. And I saw all those hearts and comments coming up, and everything was nice, as long as one person asked me to throw a pen at him. So I said, what do you do now, right? So I told him in German, they asked me to throw a pen at you. So what should I do? And he said, come on, just throw that pen and let's see what's happening. And I took that pen and I threw that pen at him. And that changed that whole thing of the scope, because people really understood that this is live. They've never seen that before, right? So they understood instantly that this is a cool new thing, and they can really change the whole story by interacting and asking something.
They had an awakening, but for you, it was an awakening.
It was for me the same thing on the other way, because I saw all those hearts and I thought, I had like 300 or 400 or 500 hearts in that first scope. And I was thinking back at that time that hearts are likes on Facebook. So I thought, wow, that's crazy. 500 people liked it? That's amazing. Unfortunately, later I found out that one person can only give like up to 500 hearts. So maybe it was just one person who liked it, actually. But I was hooked. I really love the idea of live streaming, because I'm coming from that point. Every couple of years, a new medium comes out, a new mass medium comes out, starting with newspaper, radio, TV, computer, and so on, right? And no medium were replacing the other one until the internet popped up. We have still telephone, we have still TV, we have still newspaper. Just internet itself is changing, and the reason is interactivity. Interactivity makes that whole thing interesting. And I believe that everything which gives us a higher vote or gives us more possibilities to engage with each other, so basically leveraging this interactivity, will be the future. So I saw Periscope on the first day, and I said, that's crazy. It's like TV 2.0 in some way. It's like I can really engage on a TV scale, on a TV level, and I can be a TV star. very intimate on the phone where you should be right now, because the internet itself, it comes closer and closer to you, starting from a desktop to a laptop. Now it's a mobile device. Maybe in some years it will be Google Glass or Apple Watch, or I have a chip in my eye. I don't know what it's going to be. You probably can talk with Robert about it. We will see what will be the future, but it comes closer to you. And that's just that one thing what I thought, wow, this is crazy. This will be the next big thing. I knew that on the first day, that's going to be huge, because I can be a part in TV in some way, just from my phone. So I loved it.
Isn't it amazing that we now live in an age where, first of all, many of us, including myself, are canceling cable television. We're watching more live streaming on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, on Hulu. But even more impressive is the millions and millions of people that are choosing to tune out all traditional media and new live streaming. And instead, as they are right now, people are joining us and choosing to watch this live stream on Blab over any other thing that they could be doing right now. That it's amazing to me that, I do a late night show as well with Vincenzo Landino once a week called Blab Talk Live. And we start at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So there's people that are crawling into bed in their pajamas instead of watching Netflix. They're watching us. That to me is mind-blowing. So as you launch a scope and you see these hundreds of people pour in, isn't it humbling for you?
It's amazing. I mean, sometimes I don't get it. I just, I tell you the worst scope I had. I never told that story before.
Oh, good. It's an exclusive here, folks, on the live video show. Alex Kahn.
I mean, some people watch it on the scope. I thought it's going to be so cool. I was flying back from Malaysia back to Frankfurt. And I had that seat 1A. And I thought it's so cool to have 1A because my nickname is One Alex Kahn, right? So I was telling take off from seat 1 Alex Kahn. And people tuned in. And it was at night. So I was just showing the screen out of the window. You didn't see much, and I wanted to show how we take off from Kuala Lumpur, which is gonna be cool. And that guy, seriously, he didn't take off for 15 minutes. So it was basically just scoping out at the night. Nothing was happening. It was just a black screen. I could basically put the thumb on my phone and just pretend I'm in a plane. And people were still watching it, And I was always saying, I don't know what's happening. Maybe it will be we're driving to Frankfurt. I really don't get it. It never happened to me before. Every 50 minutes, we're rolling and rolling and rolling. And I was thinking, they start throwing tomatoes at me. They will be so bad. They will be so mad. But just more and more people tuned in. And I felt more and more bad. But I didn't want to finish the scope because I was thinking the next minute for sure, you're going to take off and the people won't think I'm crazy. So at the end, the whole thing happened that my mobile crashed. So no one saw the takeoff because the battery was empty. And it was probably the worst scope. I felt so bad and I couldn't say, excuse me. I couldn't say my mobile died because I was in the air right now, right? So I had to wait for 12 hours to come back and explain to people what happened. And I got tons of emails from people who really were scared because something's happening, right? So that was really a worst scope. But it's interesting. It relates to people and exactly there. I mean, you with Vincenzo, you add value, I'm actually pretty amazed that people watch sleep scopes, right? They watch people sleeping. Right. Nothing is happening.
What is that? What is that about? What in eating? It's some of the craziest stuff. Well, for those who haven't seen your channel, this is what it looks like on the Periscope.tv site. And look at, as people are watching this replay, look at the number of comments that just continue to come in. Ongoing. As of now, you got over 52 million hearts, over 231,000 followers, and the hearts just keep flowing, and you just continue to come up with content that you believe is going to be valuable for people. Don't you ever feel like you're going to run out?
Well, that relates a little bit to my history. I mean, I'm in that business for 10 years now. I'm not in that business for 10 months. So social media, I'm pretty aware how social media works. All I do is basically, as I said, adapt it to live streaming. But the basic principles are the same. You need to find your story. You need to know, like, who are you? Who is your prospect? How can you basically cross promote all your channels to grow? There are always kind of win games. I mean, it's really, if I compare it, to build up your own community, your own social network. I did this with Attractive People first. I did this with Model Home, and then I did this with TrendU. Two were, first was a lifestyle portal, the second one was a model community, and the third one was a mobile marketplace for fashion. All were communities. It's much harder to build up your own social network on nothing, basically, than to adapt some techniques on an existing channel where people are already, they use it in some way, and you just need to grab some attention to your profile. So I was thinking about ways to engage and ways to get them over the last 10 years, as I said. So that makes it a lot of easier. I'm more like excited about some new people tune in and they don't run out of content and they just started with Periscope. That's amazing for me because as I said, I'm in this industry for 10 years. So it's a little bit better. And seriously, between you and me, if I won't have a topic, sometimes I just don't feel like coming up with something new. Then I just go live and say, thank you. Thank you for just being here, right? Appreciating your audience. And that's some of the best scopes. Just saying, hey, I just wanted to come online, come live with you and say like, thank you for being a part of that amazing journey. Or I just ask them. I mean, that's the power of Periscope, right? You can ask questions. So if I don't know anything about what I should talk today, I could just ask them questions like, what are you interested in? What's your thing? What's your best tip? What was your game? You know, what's your number one channel? You can ask so many questions. I mean, that's what we do also with consulting with companies. I mean, you can ask your customers so many great things. How often do you buy the product? Where do you buy it? What's the biggest competitor? Which magazines do you read? I mean, it works for any business. I really don't get why so few companies take that advantage. I mean, they pay tons of money to buy surveys, to get to know like their customers and so on. And here they can just go live, it's free, and they can just ask them. And the people love to be a part in it, so they will answer it.
It's revolutionary. Just ask. Well, you know, what I find really funny, Alex, is I do a show called the Top 5 Scope, and it's my top 5, whatever's on my mind. It could be social media tips. It could be my 5 favorite movies. It's whatever is interesting to me at the moment, which has created a framework so that I can talk about whatever I want. There's always something interesting, but I'll still do the random scopes where something interesting is happening and I want to share it. And one of the funny things that happened not too long ago was I was in bed and I heard what sounded like the trash man, beep, 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 coming to pick up my trash. And as I laid there kind of in a I'm waking up funk, I realized that sound kept going and what's going on. So I get up and I look out my window and I immediately grab my phone because I have to show people what's going on next door to me. This house is being torn down. And watching this process happen live was actually more fascinating to people than the structured shows that I do. It was a great experience. I mean, they just ripped this thing down and people had an absolute blast watching it, as I did as well. So I'm discovering that the structured content isn't always going to be the most popular. Sometimes it's those in that moment things that we show people that really captivate an audience.
For sure. I mean, first of all, people like to be entertained more than they like to be educated. So that's why the entertainment industry is much bigger than the education industry. Mm-hmm. But next to it, I believe that some people just tune in and the best thing which can happen is when my tripod falls down. Oh, and I said, my tripod is strung today. And they say, that's cool, something unexpected. I'm sure some people tune in because you're just waiting that I spell something totally wrong. Because as you know, English is not my first language, it's German. So some people just tune in because they say like, well, it's easy to understand. I had one time I got a backhanded compliment from someone. He said like, I like to watch you because you say it in a very simple way. My English is not that good too. So, people tune in for various reasons. But the most important thing in my ass is to be authentic and to be entertaining in some way. And don't take yourself too serious, because you don't need to be perfect on Periscope. You don't need to come up with that great content. Everything from the first second to the last second is perfectly planned. That's not interesting. If I like to see something like this, I go on YouTube. Or I just switch on TV. I'm going on Periscope because I want to see something which surprises me, something what I don't expect. And those are great scopes. And by the way, I saw that by accident. Someone shared the content, and I saw that thing. It's like, what the,
Right, they're tearing down a house? What?
Yeah, what's happening with Joe,
It makes me want to put myself in places where unusual things that you don't see every day are happening, because that's, people really go for that. At the same time, like we build a fan base of people who rely on the regular content we provide. And I think, what you said is so true. As long as people are being authentic, in seeking to bring value, then it's going to be a win. I'm going to unlock the seat here and would love for anybody that wants to come in and say hello to Alex, ask a question about Periscope or about him personally. Feel free to jump in here, because we are live on Blab. What's the most interesting thing that's happened to you unintentionally that you ended up scoping?
Well, in the last time, I did almost 500 scopes so far. So you can imagine, like, a lot of things were happening in all over the world. In the last year was pretty busy. This year it will be more calm. But last year I was in 18 cities and 10 countries, like from Asia to the US and all over Europe. So I was with them. In the beginning, I did all of sightseeing. So the first scopes were in Malaysia, which was great. The Petronas Tower we showed like the Formula One, where I attended because we were actually, part of our company is doing events. And then we went to Singapore, which was great, that great hotel with the ship. We went there, and
by the way, I stayed there as well. I loved it there. The infinity pool up on top, where you're relaxing along the edge, and the city is just right down there below you.
Yeah, that's just insane. Unfortunately, their catch was not invented back at that time, so I have some of the scopes still on my mobile phone, but nowhere live. But what I love and the most is not about showing, is actually the split screen interviews. That's for me. So what I do there is actually a blab. It's basically like a blab right now, so people can call me on Skype, and they're live on the show. And they can talk about anything they want. They can promote themselves. They can ask questions. And that was the first version of it. And then I said, like, what about planning that whole thing and doing a kind of Periscope Got Talent? So it became a talent show. So people could show their talent. They could sing. They could do some pantomime. They could do anything what they feel it's cool. And I love those shows. And I think that these are also the shows. I had Ron Moss on one. From our Rich Forrester, that's where I met Ron Moss actually the first time. I had Shalene Johnson on the first one of those. So it's amazing what kind of people you attract. Just keep in mind that on Blab and on live streaming, you really get in touch with the people who are creating the content. On Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, you don't know if an assistant is answering you. But if you add a comment on a live streaming device, there, that's really the person who you see right now, and he can answer it. So that direct approach is amazing too.
Yeah. Hey, Nazim, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, great. Doing great over here in Italy. Thanks, Joel, for letting me in. Alex, great. Probably I met you in another Blab. Had a question for you. You are very important on Periscope. That's where most of your users are. Taking that over to when Facebook eventually comes to live streaming in Europe, is that kind of like something that you look at, or you build everything on Periscope and you stay there? And how does that, is there a way to carry that through?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So here's my take on Facebook Live. I believe that Facebook Live has a different use case right now, and I explain you why right now, as Periscope has. Periscope is more about discovering. You meet new people. While on Facebook, there are people you already know. It's your friends and your family and people who already got in touch with you. So I used Facebook Live, and I had on my first Facebook Live, I had around like 600 viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the interesting part is 48 hours, I took a look at my profile and had 2,400 views. So the great thing is about Facebook that it stays versus on Periscope, it got removed after 24 hours. And I see it more like amplifying my audience, while on Periscope, I get a new audience. So what could be a future approach is to find new people on Periscope, lead them to my Facebook profile, and then amplify there to build up the connection, because Facebook, people spend a lot of time on Facebook, as you all know.
Excellent.
That's right now. Later on, it will be really interesting when it comes to the Facebook fan pages. Right now, only people who are verified on Facebook as a fan page, and I think public figures, journalists, and writers, those are the only categories when you're verified, you can use Facebook mentions, and while that, Facebook Live. What I really like about Facebook Live when I can use it as a fan page, what I can't right now, will be that I can do advertisement. I can spend advertisement with it and increase my audience as much as I want. And I totally believe that live streaming is probably the best online tool to build up KLT. It means like the people get to know, like, and trust you. Because the people see you're authentic, it's not made up. Periscope especially is a great likability tool because of all those hearts. You see other people who are hearting like crazy, so they see your face with all those hearts. And you build up trust by people coming again and again to your store.
Yeah.
So the whole industry going to be interesting. And as I said, Periscope right now is about gaining new people. But as soon as I can use it as a Facebook fan page, I can gain new people also on that page. And I know there's a workaround. I could just share my live stream on a private profile to my Facebook fan page, and by that also increase the viewers. But that's just a kind of workaround, and you have to put the link there and share it. And it's just not that seamlessly how I would love to have it.
Great. Hey, thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Nazim. Great to see you. Appreciate the question. So, Alex, as you've seen, I've been repurposing my Periscopes. I struggle with broadcasting on Facebook Live at the same time. And I think you may have seen this. When we were at Summit Live, I met the nice people from Archon and bought one of their tripods so that I could put my iPhone in it. But I said, what I really need is a TriCaster. And they made me this custom unit right here. Do you have one also? You must. Boom, there it is. Oh, you got the handheld one.
For me, it's for my iPhone on my iPad mini.
Isn't it fabulous? That's Archon mounts. Archon ARKON _mounts made that. And because choosing between where I want to stream, but the problem I'm having with Facebook is that if I stream my content live at the same time I do Periscope and then I produce a final video, I'm discovering that final produced video is something that I want to live forever on Facebook, with the music and the titles and edited so that just the content's there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Periscope will introduce an option like this too. I believe that our replay is going to stay in the future, probably in the next couple of months. And then we have it there because repurposing, you talked about repurposing. I think especially when you come up every day with great new content, it takes a lot of time. And if it gets removed after 24 hours, it's just not worth it. So I think the real deal in the future of live streaming will be repurposing in the best way. It will be cross-promoting and it will be repurposing. Like transcribing your live stream to a podcast, like taking out something and put it on Twitter, put it on Snapchat. just try ways to do a blog post out of it, just do one content live for the people and then repurpose it in as many ways as possible. Best way, lead it to a landing page, and you can also build up your email list. So there are lots of things, and there will come courses, there will come education, there will come consultings out who's focusing exactly on that field. And as it is too new, no one has that magic recipe how it's going to work. But I think repurposing is a very big thing for live streaming, because it's just so cool, and it just doesn't take so much, and you get so many people in it, and they can share it. One thing, a little comparison between Facebook and Periscope too, is on Facebook you can just share on Facebook, right? Versus on Periscope you can share on Twitter, you can invite your followers, and you can share it on Facebook too, which also is another plus for Periscope.
Absolutely. And, we get to push the limits as the developers give us tools to make it more interesting, or third parties, then we can do things like you saw me do, where I was sharing my screen here on Blab, or watch this. Boom. There he is.
There you go.
Right? I just got, and this camera is actually a better quality camera than the one I've had here, but unfortunately the one I've got on my computer doesn't have threads, so I couldn't put it on a mount, but I can look over here and we're really in HD. And soon that type of functionality will be inherent in Blab, where we can switch between different screens. And at Summit Live, we learned that co-hosting is coming to Periscope soon.
True. It's going to be interesting. I mean, those two cameras you can do with Periscope right now, thanks to the cooperation with GoPro. I tried this on the first day when it came out, and it works kind of. It's still a little bit glitchy, that whole switching cameras, but what I could do is exactly what you just showed on Blab, on Periscope. So what I'm actually most excited and most interested in is how creative minds going to use live streaming in the near future. Right now it's still really basic what all of us are doing, but there will be productions. Once there are enough viewers, the big guys jump on, it will make sense to produce it in a better way, because replay is going to stay, you can repurpose it. So it's going to be really exciting for us to be at a great event live and see it from different angles with different people, all put together in some way. I mean, those split screen is just one way. Blab is doing this, it's a USP kind of, but it's going to be really interesting what people come up with in the future. And people, we just need to realize it's just 10 months, right? So
right. We are still pioneering this. What I said at Summit Live is true. We're going early adopter in 2016, but this is cutting edge stuff. Andy Foote wants to know, he says, someone mentioned that German live streaming was still small. Why do you think that is, Alex?
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, in the first month, I was not thinking that I could make out a living and really have a big stand in the US. Because as you know, Americans haven't waited for Germans to come and explain them technology, especially their own technology, which is a US company, So I was not thinking so. I was thinking like, I don't need to be big in the US. I will be the number one in Germany. I am kind of the number one in Germany, but there is no market yet. So that's the problem. Just waiting for that moment when it jumps on Germany. And I said, here I am, I'm not American. I'm actually German. I can talk in German. I can educate you in German. Just waiting for that moment to come. So to answer the question, we just don't adapt so fast to new technologies when it comes down to social media. I mean, it was not with Facebook like this. It's still not with Twitter like this. Snapchat is gaining a lot of traction right now in Germany, and it's been there for years. So it will take a while, but it's slowly progressing. And I'm in talks with a lot of big companies right now in Germany. They are thinking of doing it. And one thing what they really would like is if the replay is going to stay. But they are also thinking opportunity costs, and they think like, okay, I need to build up a totally new audience and a totally new portal. So what's in it for me? They don't really get it right now, but they're interested in it because they know they didn't get internet in first place. They didn't get social media in first place. They didn't get mobile in first place. So they won't do the same mistake for a fourth time. So I think they're going to jump on it, and it's going to be great. And I think that a lot of people who are German are actually broadcasting in English because of that reason, because it's not that big. Like me, for example, because there is no German audience. I think there are more German scopers already there than we realize. They just talk in English because they say, okay, not everyone is understanding German, but everyone is understanding English. So that's kind of their approach to it. But to cut it down, it's just that we don't adapt that fast to a new technology, which comes from overseas. It just takes a while.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned Snapchat, and I'm loving Snapchat, and I just took a snap of you talking here, and I'm going to go ahead and post this, and I'll go ahead and tag you in it as well, so you can see the snap. How long have you been using Snapchat, and then what do you think the future of it is?
I'm totally new to Snapchat. I'm actually started with Snapchat maybe 4 or 5 months ago because I have 2 big Snapchat friends. They are fashion bloggers in Germany, and they are pretty big in Germany. They have like, for the German market, it's a lot. They have like 20,000 people watching every snap of them. So they're pretty big in that, and they use it tremendously. They are like taking photos of everything, and I didn't get it. And by the way, to show you too, I was also doing like a kind of snap on it. And
Inception snapping.
Yeah. So I love Snapchat because I see it as a kind of social media hub. So what I do is I cross promote right now heavily Snapchat through all my channels. So I tell on Twitter, I post a picture which I just snapped out and tell the people the whole story you see on Snapchat. On Periscope, I usually start with a screen with my own Snapchat photos so people can take a screenshot out of it. I'm totally believing in Snapchat because, as I said, it will be my number one hub, and I tell the people on Snapchat what's going to be next. Take a look at my Instagram picture. Just posted it. Take a look at the blog post. Take a look. In 5 minutes, I'm going to be on Periscope, So I really love it because you can tell a really cool story in an incredible fast time. So that's what I love. What do you think about it?
I'm loving it. So at the beginning, I've had it on my phone for over a year, and I was like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's kids and pictures sent by perverts, right? That was basically what we thought it was. But when Brian Fanzo started telling me about it, and Ted Rubin was using it, and Vincenzo, was saying you really should give it a try, I said, okay, I'll give it a try. Because when I opened it and I saw all these big brands creating stories, I thought, all right, there's something going on here. It's more than kitties and pictures of genitalia, apparently, which incidentally, and it's not an invitation, so nobody take it that way, I have not received one single inappropriate picture on Snapchat. It's been fantastic. It's like the adults have arrived and they're using it, and I'm loving telling stories. Somebody said that Snapchat is like the moments in between everything else that you're doing. But there's so much wonder and beauty in those in-between moments that when you capture it, you can really engage people at a more personal level. And I'm just loving it as a creative outlet. For those that watch my snaps, I never know exactly what I'm going to do. And then when the creative spark hits and I put it up, it's great to see how people snap me back and how it touches them, how it makes them laugh, or how they've learned something, or how they're inspired through that one moment, to be able to hit so many people.
That's true. I mean, I changed something last week, and I told people, forget about all those chatting. I'm not answering to chats anymore. When you want to ask me a question or you want to show me something, do a short video. And the upside is I'm going to give you a short video back. I treat you in the same way what I expect from you. And that just leveraged that whole conversation to a total new point. People who never took a video of themselves said like, okay, I'm going to do this. That's great. I mean, I answered before between like 10, maybe to 20 snaps a day. And now it took off to 50, 60, 70, 80 snaps a day that I get from people who starting conversations. And that's what it is about, right? It's about engagement. It's about striving conversations and getting to know the people around you. Because on Periscope still, I don't see the people. I can click on a comment and I can see the picture, but it's totally different. On Snapchat, I have that possibility that I really look at in the eye of someone. He can show me around. And it's global again, you know. People show me from St. Petersburg to Morocco to Los Angeles to up to Kuala Lumpur. It's so great, you know, how this whole thing is a global phenomenon. It's just amazing. I'm totally in love with Snapchat, and it's also for all the people who might watch right now, it's my number one tool. If you want to reach out to me and you think like, what is the fastest way I reply? It's definitely Snapchat. Emails I take a couple of days, to be honest. DMs maybe 1 to 3 days, but Snapchat I get in between 24 hours. So Snapchat, guys.
It's instant. And with us now, the Funky Fairy. How's it going?
Hi guys, how are you?
Wonderful.
I've got a bit of a question for Alex, really. Obviously, when we had the retail store in London, live streaming, from my perspective, was really, really easy because there was always something going on with customers, people coming in and out. Since December, where we closed the retail store and we've gone online, it's made it a little bit more difficult. So I'm just wondering, obviously, I don't want to do the same old thing every day. I don't want to bore people with the same old thing.
Yeah, I mean, variety is key. You know, so you talk about content and coming up with new content every day. And I understand that that's tricky, especially if you're not in that industry for years and you just start with it. Of course, it's heavy. So I can just give you like 5 ideas which work, and you can adapt basically those 5 ideas to almost any business in any field. And this is, it starts with number 1, you show some exclusive content, some behind the scenes, your story, how this whole thing happened, and take people somewhere they've never been before because they're not in your industry, or if they're in the industry, they see how you do it. That's the first way. The second way I talked about it was already is customer service. Ask them about it. So if you are in online stores, ask them, where do they buy? What's their favorite store? What do they like? They can take a look at your website. You can do like giveaways with all those kind of things, what they like, what they don't like. So drive conversations in some way. Number 3 is FAQs. You know what are the most asked questions about your industry, your business. So you know what people are already interested in. So just answer those. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be not filling like weeks, but at least it's something you can talk about, right?
Yeah.
And number 4, show the experience in some way. That means like if you, for example, selling snowboards, you can just interview people who are snowboarding. You can go snowboarding with the people, show kind of the experience of the whole thing. You can show like how you choose what kinds of products you're going to put in there. You can talk to customers, interview them, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And number 5 is yourself. So that means talk about your personal story. Why did you start? Why did you go from offline? What would be my first question? Why did you go from offline to online? What did you expect? Where are you struggling? Because people relate the most to personal stories. It's all about my story. What can I do? How can I relate to it? So maybe those 5 things will help you a little bit.
Thanks, Alex.
That's great to see you. Thanks for popping in. And you know, she also asked here in the sidebar, what is next for Alex? What is next?
What is next?
Where do you go from here?
Yeah, where do I go from here? So I see one problem right now with that whole content kind of thing. I love actually, and I didn't know that. Before I thought I love to work with companies. I love to consult companies. I like to make a dent by helping getting this huge exposure. A big brand is changing something and I see it. But in the last month, I understood I actually like to work with normal people, individuals, small business owners, you know, like people.
I'm like, you're in the wrong place. If you want to be with normal people, we're here. I mean,
yeah, you and me, you know, not the big brands, not the big companies who have like spent thousands of dollars on some advertisement. I like really to work with people I can relate the most post about it, who are really interested in it, who are creative, who want to try something, and they don't need to reach millions of people. They just want to make a good living out of it, and they will turn a hobby they're really passionate about to a business. So I want to continue in this direction. I want to go more to B2C with this. And I don't know if it's going to be a course I'm coming out. I'm thinking of ways to monetize it. For sure, because I don't believe in it, it's going to be not a one-on-one consulting because it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. People don't pay as much as companies because it doesn't have the effect of them. But as we are in a digital world, you can help with a course, you can help them in that way. So probably I will come up with some product in the future people can buy, and then we can work on it together in a group, like a big seminar. Instead of one big company, it will be thousands of people who will work and think about. I mean, I already started a group. It's the biggest success group on Periscope. We have like 1,500 people in that group, and it's all about Periscope success. Every day there are questions. Every day there are tips. We exchange like things which are working and working not. It's so lovely that you can reach people from all over the world. So it will be the way in, and I love to do it for the first time while live streaming so people can relate to it and say like, okay, he didn't have the big company in live streaming. He just started with it 10 months ago. It worked out for him. And he's not even American. He does not even know the language as good as I know probably. And he made it somehow. So I can relate to that story. And if he shares, and that's what I'm doing right now, I'm thinking like, what are the single steps I took in the last 10 months, which really worked out for me? And that's what I'm going to share.
I think that's great. Telling a story like that can really be inspiring for others who are, who think, well, he's already a big star. How do I do, I can't do this. But you started like we all start, with nothing. You started with a dream and an idea, and now there's this. And you're just getting started. I mean, we are so in the infancy of this whole live video era, which is why I'm doing this show. This is time to, stake a claim and say, this is something that really matters, that I'm really fascinated by, and I want to dig in and I want to bring people along with me. And that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, and someone asked, what does Alex have against abnormal people asking for a friend? I don't have anything against any people. I really believe, and that's a little my Catholic point of view where I'm coming from. I believe if you don't see God in everyone, you don't see God at all. So in everyone, there is something special, something unique, something which really makes a difference. And you are not able to connect the dots. You don't know what one person might lead you to in your way, in some way. We cannot just look ahead. We can connect the dots in the past, but we cannot connect the dots ahead. So I'm totally, and I think that's one thing of success, that you come with an act of giving and not with an act of taking. People can understand it, especially in social media.
Awesome. Hey, Maytar, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Good. You're kind of mysteriously in the dark there, but we're glad you joined us. Say hi to Alex.
Hello, Alex Khan. How are you?
Hey, Maytar. All good?
Yes, I like to be in this blab and to listen to what you say. It's very nice.
And that's good.
Do you have a question for Alex?
Yes. Do you? My question: Do you use Listerine? My question. Yeah, do you use Listerine like me?
Yes, I use it actually once a day. I use it.
There you go. Because fresh breath over Periscope is
important.
It's essential. Well, I appreciate you joining me here today for our debut episode of the live video show. Ladies and gentlemen, give lots of props to our friend Alex Khan. And of course, easy guy to find, although I wonder, was when you signed up for Twitter, was Alex Khan gone? Is that why you ended up with one Alex Khan?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It was not that I thought like I'm gonna be number one in that field, and that's why I used everyone Alex Khan. It's really more Alex Khan was almost everywhere gone. I think it's one of the most popular names in India. And as there are more than 1 billion people, you can imagine that all kinds of first names are taken. So Alex Khan 1 was taken everywhere. The only portal, the only platform where I have like Alex Khan 1 instead of one Alex Khan is Snapchat, because there you can't start with a number. So there's Alex Khan 1, and everywhere else is one Alex Khan.
So there you go. Now you guys know how to get a hold and follow Alex, of course, on Periscope. He is one Alex Khan and Alex Khan 1 on Snapchat. And your website is?
My website, I will type in the chat, but my website is just my name. It's without the one. It's just my name.tv. Because I started social media for my own with live streaming. That's why it's TV. And alexkhan.com was taken before you asked me. That's also.
Well, perfect. You're a great guy. You've obviously got a big heart, and I loved discovering some more about you here today. So thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it. And more episodes of the live video show coming. Alex, guess who I've got next week? Our friend Ryan A. Bell, the founder.
I was thinking between Brian and Ryan, but Brian is probably too busy with the Super Bowl. So
yeah, Fanzo's out prepping for the Super Bowl and broadcasting live from San Francisco right now. Go Broncos here in Denver. And Ryan Bell will be joining next week. And Blab Talk Live tonight is myself and Vincenzo Landino, kittens and bacon and memes. Oh my, it's going to be a great show and a great time. Thanks again for joining us, Alex. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Follow him, and we'll catch you guys on the next live video show. We out.